Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Fantasy Show. I'm joined as always by Adam to go over week 15. We are in the playoffs. The last week of our season, week 14, was wild. We had 9 teams who were fighting out for 2 spaces in the playoffs.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I didn't have to deal with that. I was already qualified, so it wasn't.
Yeah, it was nice for some of us that were sat at the top. I wasn't one of them. But it went down to the late night game on the Monday night. I think all of them, bar my game, went down to that. What a roller coaster!
Yeah, it's been pretty mental. The whole thing. I've never been in a league so close. It's been pretty crazy all the way through. And like I said, fortunately for some of us, we were towards the top end of the league for most of the season, so we didn't have to worry about these things happening. But yeah, for the rest of you, it was all pretty crazy, and it worked out for some of them. I saw Tinch snuck his way in, despite the fact that I said that he was the one who probably wouldn't. Yeah, and I saw some of you, like yourself, unfortunately, fell to the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, I had another week where I went up against someone who scored very highly, but I just don't think my team did the business that week anyway. I wasn't the only one of the franchise tag that finished in the bottom half, though, was I?
You were not. There was another one. Do we dare say his name? Bless him. He's probably still depressed, but poor old Freddie.
Yeah, it's of the teams that made it. I think I worked it out for all you guys. Did a bit of homework on the Monday while I was at work, but there was 5 different possible outcomes depending on what players did. There was the Zach Ertz versus Van Jefferson showdown for Tinch to make it in. And I must have to say, Ben's Hawks, so close to making it. 2 of the scenarios, I think, put him through, but it was just Tinch winning was not what he needed.
Yeah.
This guy, we wrote him off 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe even before that, but I think we almost mathematically wrote him off as well. And he was right up there. He finished on the same record as 7th place. What a remarkable end to his season.
Yeah. I think that he won the last, was it 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, did really well. And like you say, it was all kind of like, obviously he's not going to come anywhere. And then all of a sudden at the end, just sort of really had an amazing run, and was a bit unlucky really not to get through. And but yeah, I mean, like I say, it's probably the most competitive league I've ever been in. It's a really strange one, but that you can have so many so close. And maybe it is because it's a 14-team league. Maybe it is that. But yeah, it was pretty mental. But like I say, just nice to not to have to deal with it on the final day. So.
Yeah, it went into the group. What was the most shocking thing? Ben being able to qualify, or my old man losing 5 games in a row to fall out of a comfortable playoff spot to finish 3rd from bottom.
Yeah. That, I mean, like we said from day one, that we felt that his team was a decent team, and like as we've said before, really struggled with the injuries to Saquon and to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, wasn't it? He had as well, and it's like his running backs really struggled because of that. But yeah, it just was kind of always comfortably in the sort of top 8.
He was 6-3, and then lost five straight at the end. So yeah, that's a big shock. It leads now, as we'll talk about the bottom quickly. Obviously, everybody knows by now there is a punishment if you finish last in the playoffs. There is a Sacco game. The game prior to that in the playoffs is me versus Freddie and my old man versus Wags. So we could have an all-Manning Sacco final.
I mean, that would be lovely, wouldn't it, to see just that sort of just the depression from in one family, just fighting it out for that final.
I mean, what do you do? Commissioner of the league. I've never finished bottom. I've never been in this position before. And if I'm playing my dad, do I fall on the sword and not let my dad have the embarrassment of losing? What do you do?
No, of course not. Let him lose. Don't be stupid. What's wrong with you?
The other teams that missed out, obviously, we've just spoke about what those games are. The other one was Johnny. Yeah, I think he did everything he possibly could to get that final spot. He scored 159 in the last game.
Yeah.
So,
was crazy and kind of did well. It's strange. Had a decent team. We all kind of felt like his team wasn't too bad. Struggled at the beginning, had quite a good middle, and then sort of kind of fell away a little bit. But like you say, last week had a massive score, won on the last week, and was another one that turned out unlucky not to get in. I do feel there was, because of the way that the records ended up, it almost felt like there was just a lot of people were a little bit unlucky not to get in.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that's going to be spoke about probably in the AGM as well, and I know you discussed it for the top of the league as well as because we have a 14-week season, someone plays every one team twice.
Yeah.
So this played into the deciding factor of who topped our league, based on the fact that two of you played each other twice and one only once. So
yeah,
it's also played a factor in the bottom half of the table. And if their records, Freddie and my old man both played each other twice. And I think that played slightly into it as well. Do you think that this needs to be changed next year, or?
So because I kind of brought it up saying that I thought it was a bit unfair, because to me it was me and Byron played each other twice, and Ben didn't. He only played us. He played us each once, and that was it. Essentially, it meant that we had 3 opportunities to win, and he only had 2, and that was where it kind of felt a bit unfair. Now, I don't quite know how you do it, or how you sort of work it out so that it's not like that, because as you said, because we're a 14-team league, you're going to end up playing someone. If you were to expand the league even more, you would just end up playing more people, and
we wouldn't fit it all in though. We'd have to go up to 16, so we'd have to have a 16-week season, which would only leave us 2 weeks of the actual NFL to do the playoffs. And we said we never want the playoffs to be at the end of the year, because teams rest the superstars once they're through. So
so I don't quite know how you work your way around it, because obviously the problem is the fixtures get generated at the beginning of the year. You don't know who's going to be in the top 2 or 3, and the top 3 of us this year all on 10 and 4, and as you say, Byron and me both had the opportunity to win. So essentially, because Byron beat me and Ben, he ended up top of out of the 3 of us, which is, you could argue fair enough. He's won 2 out of 3. I only won 1 out of the 2. But the problem is Ben only had 2 opportunities, and it's like, if he had another week, say if he played me, he could easily have won, and then they're both on 2 and 1. So yeah, that's where the problem is. It kind of doesn't quite work.
Yeah, I think it'd be one to discuss. Maybe if we do add people, divisions, paying people in your division twice, maybe, I don't know. We'll have a look at it. But we'll move on to week 15. We'll move on to the actual playoffs, and we'll go through the important playoffs to win the championship. So obviously we've already got 1 game down, so some people have already got scores. But I've been through them all. It's going to be a bit of a weird one because COVID's hit a lot of teams.
Yeah.
They've moved games. Do you really know what's going on this weekend yet?
No, I was kind of having a look for the, just doing a bit of prep for the preview show tomorrow and stuff like that. And you look at some of the games and you sort of think to yourself, well, actually, like there are some of them that are fine and nothing's changed and they're all playing at the same time. It's not a problem. But I mean, it's really unfortunate that this has happened at this time because obviously, I mean, there's players like Tyler Lockett, isn't there, who currently is out, but they've moved it to, I think, is the theory that they're going to play it on Tuesday night in America.
Is that the one that's been moved to Tuesday? Two have been moved to Monday and one's been moved to Tuesday, I think.
So. Yeah, so I think it's meant to be Tuesday night. I don't know if that means that he's eligible to play or not. I'm guessing probably not because it's not really that much time difference, but there's different rules in different states about how they're dealing with this. Yeah, it's a really complicated one, and there's just lots of players that, I mean, the Washington team, just the whole. I mean, anyone who's got, I think I'm playing against Terry McLaurin. Who knows? I mean, there's nothing that's come out, I don't think, about him having it, but
or quarterback issues they're going to have.
Well, this is the thing, you see. So Heineke has. Fitzpatrick's not going to play, so that then knocks McLaurin down, doesn't it? It's like, and this is the problem. It's like I think it's all going to be very much up in the air. But to be honest, I don't really know what anyone can do about it.
It's the same as if we've had it during the season. I lost Nick Chubb for a couple of weeks due to COVID. Some other people have lost their players as well. So although it's been a spike in it for the first week of the playoffs, it's not anything we haven't had to deal with that's been fair through the season.
No, I think it probably just we have had it during the season. Like I say, you had Chubb and it was a problem. I think because it's the playoffs, that's the problem. It kind of feels like it's more important, and that's why people are probably getting a bit angry about it and stuff like that. It's a difficult one, but yeah, there's nothing you can do. You just kind of got to roll with it, and hopefully none of your players get COVID and hope for the best. But just because someone's didn't get it this week doesn't mean they won't get it next week. So this is the
thing. So we'll move on to the matchups. We've got I believe this was last year's final, and it's going to be a first round game. It's Byron versus Tinch.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised if Byron didn't win this. Yeah. That was kind of how I felt from the beginning of it. And Tinch has had
Mike Williams play, only scored 7.9, which is below average for Mike Williams.
Yeah, so
and he's got Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, it's not great for him.
It's looking like a comfortable win at the moment for Iranian champion to go through the first round.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we probably all kind of felt that anyway, but even more so now. So yeah.
The next one is a real interesting fixture. Is Shank versus Dicko. This is quite coincidental. So just for it, Tinch and Byron are like real close best mates. They're like two in the group that spend a lot of time outside of NFL together. And Shank and Dicko used to work together, and they've grown up together, and like they're the oldest two in our group. And
okay,
my dad, but and these two are friends outside of the NFL group as well. Now their game is projected to be 122 to 121.
Yeah,
both had players play already, and they both scored well.
Well, they both had someone from Kansas City, didn't they? They got who was it?
Yeah.
Shank,
Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. So
it's currently 32 to 41. Nathan has lost his quarterback in Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But had Mac Jones on the bench, but he's going up against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know. The Colts are very good against the run. I think Damian Harris is out. So I feel that Mac Jones is going to have to do a little bit more than what he say, like he did against Buffalo. He's going to have to put up some numbers. So they're going to use him a bit more. I can see Dicko has lost Kareem Hunt at the moment because of COVID. Whether or not he plays, who knows at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be very close. Just based on the score, I would rather be Dicko at the moment.
Yeah, Nathan's lost both of his running backs.
Yeah. At the moment he's got Tony Pollard and Johnson, isn't he?
He's got Melvin Gordon in his flex, so I'd probably move Melvin Gordon into my actual RB place and maybe bring on one of my wide receivers.
Yeah, probably maybe like a Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd would probably be the shout there.
Bateman's been playing well. But
yeah, I mean, he's going up against the mighty Green Bay Packers defense, though.
So yeah, that's going to be a close fixture. I think Dicko currently has the driving seat, but that's going to be close.
Yeah.
You're going up against the Dak Street boys. You've already had Eckler play. He's got Teddy Bridgewater as his starting quarterback. Is this going to come back to bite you in the butt?
Well, he could, but I don't think he will. I was quite happy with the score that Eckler got. I was just hoping for anything between 15 and 20, to be honest. I was a little bit frustrated with the play calling, shall we say. I felt there was quite a few. We always knew he was going to be limited a little bit because he had a bit of an injury. But there was some opportunities there where they were very close to scoring a touchdown, and the run game was working, so why not use him? And they just didn't. It's like at the beginning, the very first play, and I think they were like, was they 5 yards away, and all 4 plays were passing plays, and they got nothing. And you just sort of think, just use Eckler. It's like, or just use any of them, sort of thing. It's like, but yeah, I kind of felt like he did well. I was quite happy with the points he got. Personally, I think a lot of this game is going to hinge on tonight's game. And I'm very hopeful that Bill Belichick does what Bill Belichick does, and that's to stop the main weapon. And the main weapon is Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. So if he can have a quiet game, I will be relatively confident.
Yeah, I mean, he's good in the passing game as well as the running game.
Yeah.
It's a tough one with Jonathan Taylor. He is that good. Now, Matt was one of the guys that had to play for his place right at the end. I think he's lucky to be in the position he's in because Wags, who's playing in the Sacco game, just needed Rondell Moore to score like 9 points, was it?
Yeah, something like that. And wasn't that his average as well?
His average was 8. His average was 8, needed 9, and there was 2 plays where he could have got the points wrapped up. So I think Matt was quite lucky to be in this position to be playing you, but he's got a good chance against you. I think the teams again, they're very evenly matched. The scores look like they're going to be close. He's got McLaurin, like you said, but
I think McLaurin, as we've said, he hasn't got COVID, but where the quarterback situation there could be a problem. I think with the rest of his team, I think it looks all right. It's not bad. He's got Patterson, who always seems
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris. I mean, again, another one who's
Higgins has been the go-to guy recently for Bengals.
Yeah, so I don't think I will be playing Brandon Ayuk. I'm not certain. I don't think I will. But Michael Carter's still on IR at the moment, despite the fact they keep saying he's going to play.
Yeah, I think they're going to call him off up off the IR. I think it's just because it's not been confirmed. I think he's a definite going to start. He's got points in the prediction as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I think, like you say, another one that's going to be pretty close.
Another interesting game, Pirate Bay versus Justice League of Harambe. It's second versus seventh. Not sure about Dan's team, despite the fact he went on a bit of a run towards the end of the season and beat some people to get this place.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as we've said before, it's pretty Bucks heavy. So, but you know, I mean, he's got the Dolphins defense, which I think will do well against the Jets because the Jets aren't that great. So I think he's all right with that. You know, Zach Ertz, he's currently questionable, but I think they're pretty confident he's going to play. He's got some good players there. Henderson, because of COVID, could be a problem. So that might be the issue for him, really, in which case he hasn't really got anyone apart from Latavius Murray. So that could be a problem for him. But you know, I mean, as you said, Dan, I mean, he played Williams. That didn't work out very well for him. Jarvis Landry, COVID. Sterling Shepard is always questionable. So who knows whether he's going to play. Yeah,
I mean, well, I think what he needs to do, he needs to put Julio Jones into Jarvis Landry's place.
Yeah.
And think about putting one of those running backs in.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm a little surprised that he's played Williams, to be honest. I don't
Perhaps
know.
he didn't realise.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was the early fixture.
Yeah, because I would have thought Ramondre Stevenson would definitely, especially with Deontay Harris out, it feels like an obvious choice. And Miles Sanders has looked all right, actually. He hasn't looked too bad since he's come back from injury. Yeah, I wouldn't have played Williams, but like we said, maybe he's forgotten.
Maybe he thought it was all Sunday and he'd be all right. But yeah. I suppose we'll have a brief. That is all of the playoffs for the main competition. We'll briefly have a chat about who we think the Sacco might be. My dad's team has started off well, but the game is matched up 108 to 108.
It is. It's matched up very close. He didn't get a great score from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It was okay, but not fantastic. Yeah, when you look at them, they're quite close on the score.
No injuries, no COVID.
Yeah, that's true. It's all very. It seems like these players are probably going to play. I think it's going to be very tight, as you can tell by the estimated score. I wouldn't really like to call it, to be honest, that one.
No.
Your dad's been on a bit of a rough run, and it may continue.
Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday, day before, and he was like, in that run where he lost 5 games, he was like, I lost 3 of them by 1 point. So I think if this one's close again and he loses it by 1 point, I think he'd be throwing stuff to TV. But yeah, that's left us to talk about the most important game.
Obviously, the most important game.
The most important game of the week. I think it's probably the one that everybody's got their eye on, and that's me versus Freddie. And somehow I was Odell Beckham Jr. He was going to be in my team. COVID. DeAndre Hopkins out. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to look at Pittman going up against New England or risk Kenny Golladay that doesn't do anything. And then by some luck, I found Keenan Allen on the waivers.
Really?
Yeah. Explain that.
Well, you know, I mean, it's not a bad one to have. I like James Conner. I think James Conner will do well for you this week.
Yeah, I'm still a bit worried about him. They've said he practiced yesterday, but he had an MRI scan and he hasn't practiced all week. And him and Hopkins at the start of the week were listed as both potentially being out. But like I said, he has done limited practice.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed he's good to go, because he's been one of my best players all year.
Yeah.
And the joy of having him in the team, Fred's got Kyler Murray. So if he starts throwing the ball to Connor, which happened a lot last week, I'm going to benefit more than Kyler Murray is. So Fred's not going to benefit the points-wise that Connor's going to hopefully take off him.
Yeah, I think like you say, if he plays, he'll do well, and he is scheduled to play, so I think he'll do all right. I think you've got a decent shout on this one, I have to say. I think your running backs are pretty solid. Not sure about Brown. I like Freiermuth though. I think he'll see a lot of action. So.
Brown's not a locked-in one for me. Like I said, I've got Pittman to think about maybe tonight. It's just that's a tough secondary to go up against the Patriots.
It is, but I do think it's not necessarily the worst play in the world because, as I said, they're going to try and isolate their main attack, and their main weapon is Jonathan Taylor.
So I think T.Y. Hilton's playing as well, isn't he? So that might attract a bit of attention. So
that they're going to try and isolate that run game. So I think that Wentz is going to find himself in a situation where he has to start throwing the ball a bit more.
Well, he's more than capable, and that O-line is more than capable of protecting him. So
exactly. So I think that you're going to find that that's probably the way it's likely to go. And if it does go that way, then Pittman is probably going to be his first choice because that seems to be how it's been for most of the season.
Until T.Y. Hilton came back and then he started throwing the ball to him, and that lost me a few games. But yeah, I think he's probably the more consistent option than Brown, especially with Lamar Jackson not playing. We don't know what we'll get out of Brown really. So yeah, I'm not fixed on that one yet.
No, but as for Fred's team, I think he's got again, it's a very close game. A lot of these are really close. I mean, there's a reason that these people are all quite close to each other anyway. In the league, it's why sort of that's what happens. I mean, Dalvin Cook is probably going to do well. Chicago haven't been great defensively, to be honest. Sony Michel, because Henderson's out, will probably do well. AJ Dillon might not see loads because of Aaron Jones being back. Yeah, I just think that at the moment you've got quite a few players there that he's. I mean, Renfro is just getting loads of points because obviously Waller is out. Waller's out again, so Renfro's going to get more points. Yeah, I think it's going to be very close, and but I look forward to the outcome.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous. I'm more nervous playing this game than I would be if I was in the playoffs. If you're in the playoffs and you got knocked out, you'd be like, well, I made it to the playoffs. I gave it my best shot. But to lose this one and potentially be Sacco is I think it's more painful.
Well, it probably is. I mean, this is the first year that I've been in the league. And to be honest, my main goal was to finish in the top 8. That was kind of my main goal. So I kind of feel a little bit like that, where I'm almost like, I kind of want, obviously I want to win, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I've ticked off the box of the minimum target sort of thing. So now I'm just kind of very much like, let's just see how it goes and hopefully we get as far as we can. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be you, but it's nice that I get to watch you be you. So
Great. Just before we wrap it up, by yourself, who's your favourite to get to the final?
Byron, obviously.
And who's your dark horse from the top 8?
Dark horse from the top 8. Like I say, I think I feel that Byron's got the best team. I'm not so sold on Ben's one because I think it's very
it was proved to be beaten
on the Bucks
in the second half of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I do think that's going to be an issue. Who's Shank playing?
Dicko.
That's the one that I think if he gets through that, I think he's the one that could potentially cause trouble for Byron, because I think, if I'm right, I don't know if it works exactly like this, but I think if Dicko wins and Byron win, they play each other in the semi-final.
I suppose it depends who gets through.
Is that how it is? It
so the top seed would always play the lowest seed.
Top, right? Okay. So, but so yeah, I can see Dicko being the sort of the darker horse out of all of them.
Yeah, you would play Dicko, I think, if both of you win.
Right. Okay.
So yeah,
he'll beat me, and then.
And who do you think's most in danger of losing, and who would you like to see lose?
As in, come like Sacco.
Yeah.
Who would I like to see? I mean, I would. I feel I have to say, like, the group collectively, the amount of abuse towards Freddie is unbelievable. I mean, clearly that they want him to come last. So I don't want to stop the people getting what they want. So for that, I think it has to be Freddie. As for who I actually think, I do really worry for your dad a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels like it just keeps happening. It's like, when you get on the roll and it just doesn't stop. Like, that's how it comes across. But I feel we should give the people what they want.
We'll try. Shall I change the rules? Shall I edit the rules?
Just give yourself a load of extra points.
See if I can. Yeah, to make out for an interesting show next week. Maybe we might be able to get Fred on, depending on the outcome, and try and get some of the other guys on as well that are in it. Might try and meet up with some of them, try and get some videos out and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week.
It will be, especially with all this COVID stuff. It's going to be chaos.
Well, if anybody's interested in knowing what we think of what's going to happen due to the COVID in the games, then tune in tomorrow for our preview show where we will be going through all the games and picking our winners. And Adam will have some wonderful bets for us. I think he has. Did you have 11 or 13 something like winners for us last week?
I think I actually had 13, but you only put 11 in the video.
Yeah, I think some of them when I was trying to edit it, you just sort of went, I like this player in that game, and I was like, that's not really you going, this player he does. I was like, we all chatted about who we thought was good.
We had 11 winners. It was a good week. So we'll see what happens.
Season, to be fair. So
yeah, it's not been too bad, but this week could be a bit more tricky.
Yeah. So tune in tomorrow, guys. We will be here for you. Main show again on Tuesday. So look forward to that as well. But till then, best of luck in your fantasy playoffs or your Sacco games. But thank you and goodbye.